Welcome to another edition of Cadet Chat. I'm your host, Dr. K, and we have some very special guests here today to talk about the IB Middle Years Program MYP Personal Project. So to my left, we have Daphne Hicks, who is a 10th grader at the high school, and to my far left, Kathryn Helms, who is a junior at the high school. So welcome. I'm so glad to have you guys on the show today. Can you talk to us a little bit about the personal project and what it is and how you got involved in it? And we can start, we'll start with Daphne.
Of course. As a 10th grader this year at Hilton, the personal project is pretty much a requirement for all students in our advisement classes. So the personal project is something that we've been aware of since 9th grade. So I already had some ideas from the summer going into it, especially because that's what we do focus on in advisement during 9th and 10th grade, aside from SEL things. Mm-hmm. So I had a couple ideas, and my personal project ended up being on body language. So that's what I focused on in my personal project this year. And it was actually a lot of fun. We got a lot of time, like an hour or so every Friday, blocked out for it. And then sometime we would spend on at home. And it really came together well. We had a lot of, obviously, time to do it and support from our teachers.
That's great. Body language is so important, right? I'm sure you learned a lot and were able to share that. I almost feel like you should teach a class for other people now that you know what you know about body language, right? What were some of the themes or what were some of the things that you shared with other students and our staff about body language?
One thing I thought was important to share about it was why it was applicable in our daily lives, because really analyzing other people's body language as well as utilizing body language yourself as a tool in order to make yourself seem more confident or your words have more impact. It's really important, and it's a phenomena, and we don't even notice how much it means in daily conversation and how much we focus on it. But it's always been an interesting topic to me. So I tried to present some of the gestures and what they mean to my classmates, such as concepts like isopraxism, which is mirroring of body language, and gestures of high confidence like steepling that could be useful in other students' daily lives.
Well, tell me a little bit about steepling. What is that?
Well, I do it a lot now.
Okay.
But steepling is like a high confidence gestures. It's actually recognized as one of the most powerful gestures in body language because your hands have a lot of nerve endings, so you use them in a lot of body language gestures in order to calm yourself with pacifiers or using them to talk and express yourself and ideas. So expressing your confidence through steepling is something that's very common in the business world, and it portrays a lot of confidence and makes you seem like a better speaker. People think that you're more sure of yourself when you do it, but also it's really interesting to watch as people become less and less confident, how you can watch their hands move with their mindset. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So should I steeple right now as we continue on with our interview? Very good. I like it. Kathryn, tell me a little bit about your project.
So I learned how to sew, and I sewed a dress and presented basically how I managed to make that. It was something that I'd been thinking about doing for like ever and ever. It was just an idea that I'd had floating around in my head. I was never going to actually end up doing it despite constantly saying I was going to do it. And then we had to do something. So I always tend to prioritize things that I have to do because I have a lot of things that I have to do. So by making this thing that had been like on my head something that I had to do, it was like, oh, okay, now I can actually do it and not feel like I'm wasting my time. And so then I started doing it, and it was really helpful for me because I finished a project that I'd been thinking about doing for a really long time. So I learned how to use certain stitches on certain fabric. It was a knit fabric, so it was a little bit harder to use than cotton. So I had to learn how to use my sewing machine in a particular way so that the dress would come out right and not come out all bunchy and bad. And it came out good, so I was able to wear it to my presentation.
Oh, that is awesome. Now tell me a little bit about the different stitches. So if I know nothing about sewing, what were some of the different stitches that you learned about?
I learned nothing about the names, but I did learn what they look like.
Okay.
So when I and since then I did a different project where it was just like cotton fabric, and on that it's just like a stitch that goes piece by piece. So very basic straight lines. What I had to use in the fabric I used for my personal project was more of a zigzag sort of stitch, which gave it a little bit more give because the fabric had more give. So the stitch needed to have more give too. And then my particular sewing machine has all kinds of fancy other stitches you can use for hemming that make it look all cute and pretty.
Right. So would you make another dress?
Yeah, I did for a baby.
Oh, cool. Now, would it be something that you would be interested in doing to make money? Would you ever get into like the fabrication or design of clothing or be a designer?
I don't think I'm going to be a designer, but it's a fun thing that I can do for myself because it does save money when you just buy fabric, because fabric is definitely less money than expensive clothing that they say is on sale, but it actually isn't. And so, but I don't think I'm going to actually, go into fashion design or anything. But it could be a fun thing to do, as favors for friends, or make my friends pay me because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let for our viewers, what was your budget for your dress compared to if you went to the mall and looked to buy a dress? How much of a differentiation between, and clearly your time is money, right? So let's take that out of the equation, but just your supplies or your product compared to if you went into the mall and wanted to buy a dress. What do you think the difference was?
Well, since it was my first project, we did have to spend like a couple $100s on the sewing machine, but that aside, the sewing machine aside, the fabric itself, I'm pretty sure it was only like $20-$30 to get the fabric, and the dress came out really nicely. Like it was pretty. And I think if I had bought this same dress at a store, it might have been more like $50 to $60 just because of the way they're selling dresses right now. So I definitely saved money by making it myself.
Yeah, and I know sometimes people want to have a one of a kind, right? Like it's you go somewhere and someone else has the same dress or the same clothing that you have, and it's like so you can be very unique in being able to make a one of a kind. So that's kind of cool too. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about, so if I was a student coming over to the high school, and yes, I know about IB, and I know that there might be this thing happening, this project, what advice would you give to students who will have to do the project in the future?
Really do something that you're already interested in. It makes it so much more enjoyable. The important thing with the project for both Kathryn and I was that it blocked out time for something that we had already been planning to do, something that we had already wanted to do, but we had just placed on the back burner. So do something that you're interested in, because then you'll know that you actually want to commit to it, and it will be a more enjoyable, holistic experience. Also, don't be afraid to ask questions. My advisors, especially Mrs. Marcello and Mr. Ambrose, were both really helpful in directing me down the right path and keeping me on target with some of my goals. Early on in the project, because it was a lot more reading than I expected, I started falling behind, but the two of them kept me on board and I finished on time. It was a really enjoyable experience. So don't be afraid to ask questions and do something you enjoy.
Awesome. Kathryn, any other secrets?
I would just say that don't make the mistake of choosing something just because you have to choose something, because I did have friends who did that, and that leads to procrastination, because then you're constantly thinking, oh, I don't really want to do this. I'll do this instead, or I'll just put it off. I'll do it later. And then that leads to getting closer to the time the project is due and being like, oh, I have to actually do this thing. But like for both me and for Daphne, it was a thing that we already had been interested in. And because it was a thing that we were already interested in, it was interesting and we wanted to spend our time doing it. And now we had time allotted for it, instead of being like, oh, I don't actually want to do it, so I'll do it later, which is never. So pick something you're actually interested in.
Great. Thank you so much. Now in life, and then also in school, sometimes we have to learn all types of different things, and sometimes we're learning things that might not be the most interesting to us, even though we feel they're important. So I love what you guys said. Pick something that you really like and are interested in, and then the experiences so much more positive, right? So awesome. And I love the comment about procrastination. Don't wait till the last minute to do your project, because it really is. My father used to tell me all the time, and I still sometimes am like, Dad, the joy is in the journey, right? It's not so much about maybe the grade at the end, which I know that it's a complete or incomplete, but it's really about the process and what both of you shared that you learned throughout the process that's so rewarding. And with experiences come wisdom. And when you have wisdom, you become a better person. So that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about, and we'll start with Daphne, what are some things you do outside of personal projects?
Well, one of my favorite things to do as of late is Model UN, which I do through Hilton. It's Model United Nations, so it's essentially a club where you get to represent a country, or your school represents a country, and you go into a specific committee and you essentially advocate for your country's perspective on different issues. I found that my personal project actually helped me a lot in this area, because Model UN is a lot of interacting with other people in personal or public speaking. Yeah. So you have to be able to properly portray your ideas, and using body language to do that definitely helped me. But just in general, I think Model UN is an interesting club. It's definitely not for everyone, but having to represent ideas that don't necessarily align with your own opinions is a big journey. It's it's somewhat difficult, because you have to do a lot of research and put in a lot of effort to not let your personal bias intersect with your country's beliefs, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I know you didn't share this, but you were recognized, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Syracuse conference, I got a honorable mention, I think, as Haiti. And then in the recent UNR conference, I was awarded Best Delegate for UN Women as Romania.
Congratulations. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Kathryn, how about you? What do you do outside of your project for MYP?
Oh, well, I play varsity tennis at the school, and I also participate in musical theater, both school-related and sometimes a little bit of outside of school-related. Those are just the main things that I'll do. I'm in a couple of clubs here and there, but I mainly like tennis because it's fun, it's sporty, but I really like the atmosphere too. The team is really great, and it's a sport that I enjoy. What can I say? The theater, musical theater, and plays, I just enjoy doing them because it's a lot of creativity, and it's also a lot of community. And it's a lot of time making this really big group piece just come to life. And then in the end, we get to perform to like lots and lots of people from like the school and like our families. And it's just fun because then we get to let everyone see just how much hard work we've done and all of our creativity, all of our different talents, and how it all just comes together. So that's just something that I really like to do.
Great. So you guys are both really busy. And you talked a little bit about this with the project. How do you manage your time when you're participating in all these activities and then with your schoolwork as well?
Well, my main rule for myself is that I cannot procrastinate. So I have a lot of strategies to prevent myself from doing this, because like a lot of other people, I like to put stuff off until the last minute. But recently, I've gotten a lot better at not doing that because I make so many to-do lists. They're everywhere on my phone. I have whiteboards in my room with them. I've got like a notebook of to-do lists. It's crazy, but I write everything down in the order I need to do it, and then that's how I get it done. And blocking out time to do certain activities is really important. Like with the upcoming AP tests, a lot of my friends and I have blocked out specific hours where we're going to study together at home or even at school, after school. So blocking out time and writing probably an insane amount of to-do lists are my two main strategies.
Very nice. I love it. I have a yellow pad with my to-do list on, and I also enjoy scribbling them out when they're completed. Isn't that the best?
It's the best feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kathryn, how about you? How do you manage your time?
It's really, really hard because when you do a lot of stuff, you just have to make sure that you're not procrastinating, like she said. Just to give an example, I'm currently in the musical, and we're in our final like tech week. We're doing all the tech stuff. So we have the whole crew there, the whole lighting crew. We have our live band and the whole cast, and we're all staying after school until very, very late, like sometimes like 8:30. And so then we have to find ways to manage all of our homework and all of our upcoming exams. And so it really all comes down to that, very specifically making sure you give yourself the time. So if I'm backstage, I'm not on stage. And so I have my homework right out there waiting for me. I know what I'm prioritizing, and I just laser focus and I get something done before the next time that I have to go out. And just making sure that I'm never just sitting and doing nothing that's not productive. Make sure that I have all of my time perfectly managed, because I have time to do nothing when I'm going to sleep and getting my rest. So during the waking hours of the day, just making sure that I'm doing things productive all day and getting all of the many things that I need to get done.
Great. So we're getting close to the end of our interview. Who inspires you to be who you are, and how you are learning and trying different things all the time? What's your inspiration?
This is an easy question for me because I have such an incredible family that's supported me, especially my older sister, who's a senior at Hilton right now. She's probably everything I want to be because of how committed she is. So she's probably one of my main role models. She inspires me a lot. And also my friends, everything they do to keep themselves focused, and really they are incredible people who do amazing things. So I look at them and I'm like, I want to be more like them. So they also inspire me to keep going and be a better version of myself.
Excellent. Kathryn, who inspires you?
Personally, my mother inspires me a lot. She was an academic. She kept doing it forever. Now she's a professor, and that's exactly what I want to do too. And in everything that I'm doing and every way that I manage my time, it's like I'm just trying to emulate her. She's great, and being like her is exactly how I can get where I want to be, because she's where I want to be.
That's awesome. So I know you kind of led on to this, so I'll ask the question. So what do you want to do after Hilton? I know you're a junior, and you've got a little time, but what are you thinking? You want to be a professor?
Yeah, I want to be a professor in applied mathematics.
Awesome. Very cool. How about you, Daphne?
I've been looking into law, specifically becoming a patent lawyer. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do yet, but I'm open to everything.
Yeah, well, at least an idea. I know things can certainly change. So I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, So this is going to draw a conclusion to this episode of Cadet Chat. I want to thank Daphne Hicks and Kathryn Helms for being here and sharing more about the MYP project. Thank you and have a great day.